Alright, yeah. We're gonna see if we can come up with a topic. And, ho 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 ho. Let's see here. What kind of topic do we want? Got the beagle is there. A lot of times I believe that there were certain situations that I just couldn't be a part of. It's the reason why I slowly became more introverted, and I'm an introvert to this day. And not to say that I couldn't be a part of them or anything like that, or couldn't be a part of the situation at hand. It's just more like I kept myself reserved, and because of things that I myself was a part of that I didn't want to miss. And there were a lot of times where I believed that people oh man, I don't or at all, because whatever the thoughts are that go through my head sometimes, I just don't believe it. I try to get out as much information as possible, but my mind doesn't believe it. It just doesn't. It never has. I realized that those are different things that I believed my parents, I guess, and it had a lot to do with my parents and the way that they got divorced. I realized that there were a lot of situations where I believed in something that was too far-fetched. I also believed a lot of times where there were things that I believed in that were only detrimental to what other people thought about me, I guess. And there were a lot of times when I believed that that people out there, no matter what they had been through, no matter what they had known, no matter what they had experienced at a young age, the more I started to believe that there were
Tough break, Rover.
I believe that people out there were would believe, and I think that a lot of times people don't understand that I'm not like the head honcho. I'm a head honcho at my company. I own it. I'm gonna have a tax ID. Yeah, awesome. It's really great. I'm super happy for myself. Also, too, the way that I realized when I was a kid that I could research a lot of different things and pick out certain specific details that meant more and needed to be looked into a little bit more. Like the starfish, and the fact that it's going out of existence. I think, not exactly going out of existence, but it's more morphing into something else. And a lot of times where I realized that there were a lot of things that wanted to start living in a certain state for a very, very long time, and that thing living in that certain state for a very, very long time learns how to move and learns how to be something, learns how to know a certain situation in their lives, and through evolution and a lot of different people enjoying what starfish are, like the kids petting the pond. Starfish have a hive mind. They can not share the same consciousness, but they have this sort of like I know what you know because I'm experiencing the same elements. It's kind of like bees, because they all listen to the same humming noise, or they all listen to the same thing that keeps them calm and keeps them the way they are. The reason why they chase after the noise, I guess, bees, is because they're looking for the reason. They're looking for the reason, not the reason why someone did that, or said that, or did anything, or said something loud and disrupted that beehive or something like that. What they need to understand is that stuff is because someone shot an arrow at that same point. The way that bees, what's the word? They communicate with each other is through certain specific vibrations and tonal patterns. And as they realize their specific vibration, and also they have names too. They're very, very long, and that's also the reason why a lot of Spanish people have long names, because they were animal studiers. A lot of them were people who weren't doing illegal things. That's also the reason why they have those long names sometimes, is because a lot of their old and ancient studies, actually, and this goes back all the way to Aztec, because they used to study the patterns of different parts of nature, and also that's sometimes the reason why they died off, or not exactly died off, but had children and then died, is because died not immediately, but they eventually died because the earth was changing around them and they were used to something that was completely different. The reason why sometimes I like to stay stupid is because I don't want to not connect myself with anything like that out there, but I don't want to specifically like a pattern and then realize that an animal is extinct already, because I'll get depressed. because that's the reason why sometimes bees and different things communicate with one another. It's an ecosystem for a reason, but not because of anybody's doing or anything like that. Not because of anyone teaching it or anyone saying anything. It's because the animal learned itself and then instilled it inside of its own brain. Animals are very smart, and people don't give them enough credit. But back to the bees. If people don't understand that bees communicate with one another, even if they're trying to someone is trying to piss them off, or trying to take them off of their journey or their job, basically, because they have a job in the ecosystem, they just don't care about that person. That's the reason why sometimes you'll have they'll even play pranks sometimes, if not controlled, but if they all go to the same pattern and realize to not forget something. They play a lot of jokes. They really do. And a lot of times, what people don't get about those jokes is they're trying to teach people through some sort of different thing, because if they believe that they understand something that someone else understood and it cleared their mind, then they won't have to attack them again. Because that's the reason why they stay in a hive mind. They stay in the thing that keeps them the way they are. They make things that are sweet because they like things that are sweet. And they want one day to be able to make sure that that sweetness can be able, that sweet thing can be able to nourish them one day completely. Because they're animals and they have yet to evolve, technically speaking. Bugs are animals. But as I was saying, the thing that keeps them back together, that keeps them out, the thing that holds them in a complete and utter thing is their pattern. And once their pattern is broken apart, those patterns cease to exist anymore, because they lose whatever pattern they do, and then whenever they're born again, they make a new one. And that's sometimes the reason why a lot of different places in Jerusalem and Israel and Pakistan and Afghanistan, or certain places around the globe, sometimes have a lack of grass, or a lack of different things, or a lack of flowers, or a lack of something. Also, it's hard to fly in England, I guess, for bees, but also too, notice that the bees come sometimes slippery. They make their own natural oils, and people don't understand that sometimes. But back to the pattern that they make. The pattern that they make sometimes is different because a lot of things happen, and I think this is the reason why a lot of different nations are actually warring with each other and trying to stay away from with each other a lot, because I think they want to be introduced to a certain part of the nature, as a certain thing, I guess, as a certain person, I guess. They want to be able to not control nature, but to guide it in a certain direction, to be able to make it to, not to make it, but to guide it in a certain direction, to be able to make sure that it could be able to fend for itself around a bunch of different things that have evolved differently than it. And that's within, I think, synthesis and synthesizing. Blah, blah. A lot of times people synthesize a lot of stuff and know a lot of things about bees, and in a way it kind of relates to not the jellyfish, but the whatchamacallit, the starfish, in a way, because in a way they have a hive mind, but they just feed off the same minerals that are around them. They leave, and then they almost petrify. They become a petrified state, to be able to protect themselves from predators, and to be able to camouflage themselves inside of the environment. And that's the reason why I think that starfish themselves that have evolved, or that will evolve, will be able to change colors at will. And some of them will even be neon because of the new minerals that some of them actually got, or actually were. And also realize that none of these animals can actually be built in captivity, because it takes a keen eye and a specific amount of being able to make something feel better. Like a lot of times fish don't get angry, they get anxious. They know they need to do something, and until they get to something to be able to realize what it is, because their brain doesn't work in different patterns like humans do. So the starfish itself is probably going to be a pretty cool looking animal. And yes, I said animal. I'm sorry. But understandably so, that's the only reason why people don't understand that that animals are going to be completely and utterly changed forever, I think. And people are gonna go freaking bonkers about it, and it's literally gonna be changing lives, I think. And but yeah, go back to the starfish. I know for a fact, because I have read a bunch about starfishes, and not a lot about starfishes. But I've read a lot of things about certain different things that are the way they are. A lot of times I believed that that there were people out there that that existed for some specific reason. Or not people, but there were animals, sorry. Yeah. There were animals that existed for specific reasons, and the reason why a lot of people decided to take certain pictures or do different things around animals is because they found them absolutely fascinating. Not all the times were they trying to scope out the entire place. They were usually trying to see what kind of animals existed in different places. And that's the reason why a lot of tourism places exist, and that's the reason why you have to keep up on your animals, because I don't think a lot of places have actually done that sometimes, or at least the places that I have been to sometimes, because there are a lot of things that make a genetic footprint or a environmental footprint that make animals very wary of becoming a part of a certain place or being a part of a certain environment, and because they have to see all of it. But understandably so, they're not seeing it sometimes. They're just remembering it from certain things that they experienced. That's the reason why that deer got hit by that car in that YouTube video. Because it didn't want to get hit by the car. But comparatively so to humans, animals are very seldomly smart. Seldomly smart means they seldomly have eurekas. They seldomly have epiphanies, basically, that things are happening or that something's going on. They seldom have those things because they want to be able to remember those things. They want to be able to remember what situation and what environment actually happened in order for them to be able to think the way that they do. They're constantly trying to build themselves back up from the ground. So, every single time people tried to, like a young girl, I realized, imagine in my mind that, I just pictured a young girl in my mind trying to put a cat inside of a coffin next to a person who is dead. It's not funny, but it's peculiar. It's not funny at all. It's not funny whatsoever. The reason why, or the reasoning why, I think is because she was trying to be thoughtful. But understandably so, she didn't understand that that animals are very, very territorial. And once they're next to a dead body, something that's dead, it changes them forever. And not changes them forever in a bad way or anything like that, or it changes their psyche. Or that's the reason probably why cats that have been domesticated are more calm, or just realize that they shouldn't be doing a whole bunch sometimes because it runs their muscles dry. They realized. They saw the dead body, they smelled what was coming off of it. And a lot of animals realize that have evolved sometimes, that they've realized what death is all about, and the reason why it happens, and the reason why people just don't get it sometimes. Don't get it as mean don't understand the reasons why it's happening. It's because as certain functions start to move and as certain functions start to go in a person's body, they propel them with a thought. That thought, it sends a synaptic thing down your nerve spinal column, sends signals to whatever different things you're sending them to, and realizing that that thing, it doesn't go slowly. It happens within a millisecond. It's the reason why it's so hard to be able to start someone's heart back up sometimes, especially if they've taken a lot of drugs or done something stupid, because it sends dopamine sensors through their brain every single time. And that's the reason why I don't believe that sometimes people are addicts. I believe that people themselves are just suicidal sometimes, and they need to stop it because it's dumb. And also it's ill-advised, because sometimes people have no idea where they're ever going because they don't realize things. And and it's not the MCU. It's not any DC comic. It's not a Kirby land of amazingness. It's called being conscious, or being what's the word? Semi-meta conscious. That's what happens. It's what all those reflexes are sometimes if you don't take their organs out on time. So every single time, it's like if a dude's penis got hard, and while he was dead, it's probably because he had way too much sex. Maybe he was a sex addict, and that's all he thought about, and that's his last fleeting thought as he goes on to another place. Realize that there are people out there that do certain things for certain reflexes, and they don't understand is they're doing those reflexes for jokes sometimes, because they don't understand that that's the reason why sometimes bodies move on their own. And that's also the reasons why they took out all the organs, so the body couldn't send synapse firings, or have synapse firings, because it was scaring people and making people believe in something that didn't exist at the time. But understandably so, back to starfish. Starfish feed off of a certain, what's the word, mineral sometimes. It usually is high ingrained in salt. And they know that they're going to feed off of that because they don't have anything to protect themselves. The reason why they don't have anything to protect themselves sometimes is because they're starfish. They're basically amoeba. They're like that blobfish thing that just stays on the bottom and makes a weird sound. It's kind of a bassy sound, because when you put it underwater, I guess it starts to make weird, like, O-rings. And it's not actually been able to be heard sometimes by the human ear, so I might have said something a little bit what's the word, I think they're saying like the word hum. No, hum, like hum. They're fish that learn from humans. They evolve and they get affected by certain humans. They're trying to center themselves and they don't know they're a fish. But understandably so, that's the reason why they still exist, and their meat is probably really delectable if cooked the right way. Understandably so. Realize it. Because it's probably a delicacy. Hopefully they're not endangered. But back to the starfish. The reason why it constantly moves the way it does and does the things it does. Have you ever seen those blobs that move constantly? Those things that move, not those blobs. Those amasses of what those starfish are. What eventually they evolve into is a basically not something stupid. They're able to move, basically, to act like they're all one organism, and that's it. But what they'll do is what they'll do with their salt is they'll send it to the tips of their things. They'll be very sharp once they evolve, once they really get there. Once they've actually, probably once they've realized that That's what they do. They're sharp starfish. They're sharper starfish. They're sharp. I don't know what the name of them for is, but I haven't actually seen the book, but I've probably realized a lot of different things because of what I've studied, and stuff that I did see, I explained because of things that I did see. Learning how to read what starfish are in like 2nd grade up to the Discovery Channel. And also realizing that that there are things that people don't know about the starfish at all, because I noticed something that was really, really cool. And I don't think that anyone has ever even said anything about it. They will eventually start to make jewels on themselves, to make themselves look like just pieces of trash. Or fallen jewelry, or anything like that, because that's what happens sometimes. And the realization of the fact is that they will happen over time. And their points will get very, very sharp. They'll get very hard, and sometimes they'll get very grainy. So no matter what they do, if they start to move, I guess, when they do that, that means they're going to start moving very fast eventually. They will actually go through the bottoms of oceans, or not go through the bottoms of oceans, go to the bottoms of oceans and literally be an actual predator, because they have a mouth on the other side, and it's usually stuck to stuff. And the reason why they're eating it is because they're eating their soft tissue. They're making their soft tissue. When they're making their soft tissue, they eat fungus, because that's the reason why they make it fungus, because they like the way it tastes. It's the reason why they like salty and not savory things. When you force a fish to be able to eat something weird, it changes forever. It changes because that's what the thing that it wants to be. That's the reason why I say that there's a certain bond between the animals that we eat and the animals that we use every day for different services. The evolution of an animal takes a very, very specific amount of time. But also, once it comes to that realization, it starts to change and realize that it's letting go of a certain part of itself. But understandably so, it's only letting go of eating a certain mineral, and it'll start to eat a different mineral afterwards. Because animals know it's not ever the end. They've probably come back a lot of times. That's why I don't believe in death. Because there are certain minerals that animals pick up to be able to understand death, and to understand a lot of different things. And this is the reason why I don't believe in death. There are certain animals in the animal kingdom that have used cannibalism. It made them sick every single time, and then eventually they just died because they realized that they made a mistake and they couldn't fix it. Understandably so, the realization of the fact is the fact of the matter. The people don't understand that fish itself, that starfish that still does that, it's going to get sharper no matter what, because it's going to move its fins at the bottom of the ocean or the bottom of whatever pond it's in really, really fast. That's what happens when it starts exercising. It realizes that it can go a very long time. So if you ever find one of those fishes, put it back where you found it, or put it back in a small pond, and it'll realize that it doesn't have to be that aggressive. But don't ever put it back in a big pond, or else it'll start moving very, very fast, and it won't bleed. Things will get harder on it, because the same things that it realizes as it evolves. And also be responsible, because if you're never responsible with your animals, then that's probably the last time you'll have them. I try to be responsible with every animal that I take care of. An animal that needs a jerk off, because sometimes they need to jerk off, and they need to learn that they have that thing down there. Because if it's numb all the time, then that's what happens. It doesn't think it has it, and it doesn't think it needs it. Because that's the reason why animals get angry at each other and then get angry at humans. That's probably what happened to whoever who decided to build a arena for fighting stupid animals. Because animals are stupid for a reason. They don't want to figure everything out. Not because they want everyone else to figure it out, but because they know that other things will figure it out. And if it tells it constantly all the time that it's something that figured that out, it'll be annoying. But also, it'll be funny when that person makes mistakes and they can laugh all they want. I think there are real reasons why people don't understand where animals, certainly a lot of different animals, come from. But they have to understand that every animal is trying to get every part of its pieces back. And don't try to mess with them or mess with anything that they're doing. Because if you do, or once you do, they'll die and start over again. And that's, I think, the reason why people have been doing the stupid shit that they've been doing. Is they think that for some reason animals have to be respected in the dead. They don't respect their dead. They do stupid shit to them all the time. And they do fucked up shit a lot. All the time, to realize and make sure that people do not try to bury their dead inside of a coffin. Because they don't care about it when it's gone. And I think that's the reason why I think there was a lot of times where I believed people were people had evil intentions, I guess, and I thought that people had evil intentions because there were a lot of times where I believed in something and really wanted to make something for someone, and the real reasons why is because I wanted to be able to kind of, I mean, I saw the stars when I was a really young kid. I really wanted to be able to map them, but then I realized the stars change all the time. So what I'd actually do, or what I'd actually try, is to be able to make a to make some sort of chance, I guess, to be able to make some sort of thing that to prove to people that and I know I didn't do anything weird. I did a lot of different studies, and I used a lot of those studies to be able to know what kind of things that were going on with people. And no, it has nothing to do with them now, because it's all changed now. Because we're moving all the time. It's like, yeah, this is a Star Constellation called Boobadoo Dagada. And no, I don't think Dagobah's there. Or, what's that one that got exploded? Not that one. Thinking of one, there were a lot of times where I believed in a lot of different stuff, and I realized that there were a lot of different things out there that I really wanted to be a part of. And there are a lot of people out there that I think that really liked what I said, and in some cases what I did. So
dispatch, we got eyes on the target.
shit. there were a lot of times where I believed in a lot of things, and I knew very specific information because of the things that I studied, and the things that I studied a lot of because I studied a lot, and realized you should not give a starfish a knife. Because it'll use it. I'm referring to Jason because it was funny. He came out of water. Oh man. The movies, Jason. It's funny. It's really good. Oh man, that's just a lot of times. A lot of times I believed in animals and they disappointed me. My dog ran after a Tonka truck. Oh man. Yes, I call it a Tonka truck because hopefully if he ever comes back, then he hopefully doesn't make the same mistake and just poops weird. Or poops out objects and then throws it up, I guess. I don't know. There are a lot of times where I believed in the different things about different cultures, and I believed it because I know that they emulated certain animals, or not really emulated them, but copied off of them, or realized that there were certain things that animals knew that no one else did. And there were a lot of times where I came to a conclusion and no one else was there because I was outside constantly looking at stuff and constantly studying, so I was constantly taking nature walks, but it was all through one park, and there were a lot of different kinds of weeds there, and I got to see all different kinds, and I realized that there are a lot of things that people would consider weeds aren't weeds. They're flowers, like they're literally flowers, and they're trying to get rid of a certain poison in the ground. Those weeds take care of a lot of different things, and they filter the groundwater. And that's usually the reasons why people don't die of starvation or thirst because of a certain chemical inside of something. They need to understand, and people need to understand, is that in order for people for things to come back the way that they are, I think realizing a lot of different things that they need to stop fighting, because the more they run around and start throwing bombs and bullshit, the more the grass doesn't grow, because there's no calmness. Because I think that's the reason why grass actually does calm, and that's a specific thing that that grass has learned over the years. If it's not calm there will be no grass, and the only grass that will be is huge friggin' things that look like fruit and taste terrible because of different things, that additives, like cactuses. They're stupid because they don't want to be eaten. That's when plants become stupid, basically. And I noticed that a lot of times there were people out there that really did deserve something, but also had to realize that the more that they shot bombs and the more that they did certain things, the realization of fact that there were certain things wrong with our ozone layer for some specific reasons. And it had to do with nuclear armament. It had to do with dropping bombs everywhere. And it happened to do with nuclear bombs as well. It's the reason why. I'm saying I made this part up. As soon as it touches the ground, it goes up again. And the environment tries to make it a part of itself. And that's what happens to a planet that you constantly try to blow up. It just doesn't. It's not nice to you. You can move somewhere else, but it'll still be on your neck because you're irradiated sometimes. And that's the reason why people feel warm a lot. And they don't understand why they're feeling warm. It's what happens when people use x-rays and different things like that. You get warmer for no reason. And your body makes a chemical that makes you warm. And if you don't realize that, and don't understand, and if you don't understand it, then it eventually is the thing that probably tries to kill you. It's eventually the thing that tries to make you seal up, basically because of an infection you don't know anything about. And if people know, and if people understand and realize and relax, a chemical itself could be used to completely clear someone out of all of their cancer. A chemical. A specific chemical that is built or made by something that is very, very helpful. And it's a good thing that radiation doesn't get in anywhere or anything. And it's also a good thing that people learn how to keep to themselves and aren't stupid. Because the more I think people try to build a better situation for themselves, the more I think they'll realize that animals are trying to do the same. And if they coexist with animals instead of trying to own them all the time. Because I think that's the reason why. It was a purposeful thing that I did at first. But then I realized that it was the right thing to do. But understandably so. I mean, it's not like you can't have animal companions. And it's not like they won't do awesome stuff and stuff like that. Realize that they should change it. They really should. It's like they should give them an animal companion license. They really should. And I think that's just the title itself, the name, I guess, that changes everything, I guess. I don't know. But, and I know I'm not the first person to say this, so... And I also know that I'm not the last person that's going to say it, because I think that if we start treating each other a little bit better, if we start treating each other and the animals a little bit better, then, they'll realize the reasons why people take animals away sometimes is because, or things take animals away sometimes. It's because if there's not enough, then why was Bob Barker talking that bullshit? Why was Bob Barker constantly saying you spay and neuter your animals? You spay and neuter your animals, or spay and neuter your cats and dogs. Why? They're cool. They've always been cool. Always have been. Some people dress up in them and have sex. Oh, darn. Oh, what? They can act like animals won't learn how to regrow those parts and then have them anyway. Because they'll still have those reflexes. They'll still have those things because it's funny. It's funny to them. It's their jokes. And it's the reason why. Sometimes dogs run around constantly trying to search for their balls. And once they realize they don't have them, because they look down and they realize they're gone, or they realize that they're there, they either get happy or they get really angry. You have to realize that your dog and your cat and your starfish, or your fish at all, or a dumb little cat that looks like he's a what's the word? He's got a mustache. They're all based on real facts, on real cats that actually exist. There's a cat that evolved and got a heel. It's the reason for those bumps, because they're evolving, and they'll evolve straight through fucking neutering, straight through it, because they'll all trade information. They will. They all do. That's what they do. They talk. They fucking talk, and people are stupid because they think that they don't. As soon as they come out of their drunken stupor, they'll be able to communicate with whatever they're doing. They're literally barking because they're communicating with each other. They're letting each other know that they're there. There'll be some shit, man. There'll be some people that don't understand this shit because, oh my goodness, man. It's the reason why I can't do anything because people think that they own dogs. People think that they own them. Be a companion to them. Don't tell them about themselves. Don't yell at their crotch parts. Don't even give them a handy. Tell them to lick there. Say, point at your tongue, and then point at his thing, and then he'll believe that you're doing it because that's the reason why. It's really the best way to do it. And then he'll realize that he got a responsibility after a while because he's good, because he's a good dog. They're all good dogs. Understandably so, if they believe that something is funny, though, and something is not funny, they don't change their actual senses of humor. And that's the reason why I don't own dogs. Because they won't change. They just go through systems of non-aggression and aggression. Because of things they're mad about and things they're not mad about. And then if it coincides with someone's kid being in a parking lot while they're walking through having a bad day, then eventually they'll think about food. But understandably so, if you make a reflex and say that that baby itself doesn't have food, but the person next to them or the person around them might have food, and that person is a responsible, living, breathing, adult person, then that person can give them food. Or say that they have food. Or say that they know where food is. Or give them water. Because that's usually what they want. Not trash. Or, hey, find your balls. Because then they'll find yours. They'll find yours for you. And then they'll try to chomp down on them. Because it's ball time. Because I had a bull nut. Realize there's a whole bunch of people out there that help, and I've learned from them. I've learned from different people who have told me things. I've learned from a whole bunch of different individualistic experiences and a lot of books. I even put a tattoo of an upside down dog on the back of my calf. Because yes, that was him. He was a douche. Dogs can be douches sometimes. And you don't want them to be, because they'll do anything. They'll start humping a friggin' stop sign. Or a pillow, and then make you lay on it. Because dogs are stupid and they know it. LMFAO does not have rights to that. But if I ever copyright them, I'll make sure to sell it to them for $1 million. Alright, so, I'm smart. Kind of, sometimes, whenever I feel the urge to be able to be smart. Or whenever I have the thought, because I have them all the time, by myself. A lot. A lot. I don't know. I don't know a lot of stuff, but I know enough to be able to be responsible and not selfish with myself. And to know that people are out there help and stuff like that. And also, I go on really long rants because my dad used to talk to me for hours. I love my dad. But he had the same tone every single time he would say a sentence. And then he would just add a little bit of a different pattern to see if I was paying attention. And most of the time, I wound up saying something different than what he wanted me to say. It's the worst punishment that ever happened. My dad's really good, man. He's really good. He's a really good guy. Have a good day, and realize you are a one man or woman, or person, or transgender, or any of that stuff, because we all evolved in certain different ways, and then we were initially male and female. But as we started getting older and started doing different things, we changed. And that's the reason why it's so beautiful, because people don't understand as things change, we change as well. Not only just because our interaction with something, but because we were next to an animal while eating a something sandwich. And that animal that we ate a sandwich just so happened to be its cousin because it was a cow or something. Or a different animal that is completely and utterly amazing. And I'm a smart guy, so I don't know, be yourself, and realize you are your own one man or woman or transgender or transsexual or any of that. Personal bomb squad. You can defuse situations before they happen. You can make sure that you're better. And if people see you with makeup on when you're protesting, they'll know you got ready first. If they don't see you as a person, as who you are, or who you are when you get up in the morning, usually they don't awesomely listen to you, because sometimes they don't believe it's an emergency. So just saying, sometimes people don't believe it's an emergency because, why is everyone so well dressed? They had enough time to be able to get going. That's weird. Everybody's so well dressed. Like actually people are waiting for a funeral or something. Waiting for someone to die. Wonder why they're doing that, man. Wonder why. I don't actually wonder, because it's not going to happen. Never is. So, be yourselves and wonder and know everything that people are trying to help you with, and be better, because even if they're trying to hurt you, or even if you're in a situation that you can't get out of, you can always learn something, and you can always be better next time, or the next time they try something stupid, you can escape, or kick them in the nuts, or make sure there's a dog at their nuts and then tell them to bite down if you trained them hard enough. Realize there are people out there that help, and also there are things out there that can help you make a better day for yourself. And be better, because I have a really dark sense of humor sometimes because of it. And not only a dark sense of humor, but a very, very somber tone sometimes because of people's idiocy and stupidity. Have a good day.